Hey everyone, it's Jaden here from SpeedCubeShop.com, and today we're taking a look at a couple of new budget-friendly smart cubes. So these two cubes come from QIYI. We have the QIYI SEA, which is the art version, and we also have the QIYI SES, which definitely stands for SpeedCubeShop and not Speed or Standard. So as I mentioned before, these are budget-friendly smart cubes. Both of these come in at $22.95 on SpeedCubeShop.com, and despite their relatively low price tag for a smart cube, they actually perform quite well. But before we get into the performance and all that, let's go ahead and open these up. So this is what the packaging looks like. As you can tell, it's pretty similar to that of the QIYI MS line or their new QIYI M Pro line. So all you have to do, take off the sleeve, open up the front, and you can take the cube out. And underneath, you pull out this little insert here, get some extra stuff in here, like springs, this card, which I'm not too sure what it is, a cube solve guide, and last but not least, we have an instruction manual here with both English and Chinese, and this is actually really useful and pretty easy to follow along with for connecting your cube, resetting it, and even using the adjustment system. And the packaging is pretty similar for the art version here. So, sliding off the sleeve, opening up the top, and you can just take the cube out like that, and underneath you have the same accessories. So now on to the performance of the cubes. I'm gonna start with the speed version because I believe that is the one that most people will be getting. So out of the box, the SES version is quite fast, and it actually has more of a buttery feel as opposed to the standard out of the box sandy feel that you would have with most cubes. The cube is also a bit more on the flexible side of things, and the speed also isn't that much of an issue because it's not super fast, but it can also be slowed down with a bit of lube. The corner cutting on this cube is actually pretty good. It's a fair bit over 45 degrees forward and line to line for reverse. However, not much more than line to line when you're doing any reverse corner cutting. So yeah, first impressions and just out of the box, this cube performs really well, especially for a budget smart cube. It is based off the QIYI M Pro as far as I can tell, so no surprise there. If you're a big fan of the QIYI M Pro, you'll probably be a pretty big fan of this cube. So out of the box, the SEA or the art version does not perform nearly as well as the SCS version does. And again, this is the art version, not the speed version, so it does make sense. I tend to lock up quite a bit more on each algorithm that I'm doing. It has a much more kind of square or blocky feel to it. It still has that kind of more buttery smooth feel to the turns, but again, does not perform nearly as well as the SCS version does. The corner cutting is also a little bit worse as well. It can do 45 degrees, however, it does take a fair bit more effort, but it also does line to line for reverse at relatively the same effort as the SCS version. And just for a side-by-side, these are what the cubes look like next to each other, and as you can tell, there is quite a difference. So let's go ahead and pop off the center cap for both of these. So both cubes are on the same setting. They are on setting 5 of, I believe, 7. And this is a toolless adjustment system, so all you need to do is take your nail and you want to turn these counterclockwise. So they don't really show up all that well on camera. However, there are these little ledges on the adjustment system to where you can put your fingers and actually make the turns. They aren't very big, so it is a little bit of a challenge, but all you have to do is stick your finger in there and just turn counterclockwise. Use a fair amount of force to make the adjustments. And the same will go for the art version. And one last thing before we connect these cubes to the phone, let's go ahead and take a look at the piece design. So the SEA version uses a capped piece design, and the internals are totally transparent and quite smooth. There's no really like indents or divots at all. So the piece design is relatively simple, whereas the piece design for the SCS version, you can tell it has these kind of like ridges and dots in the pieces. It also uses a split piece design, and the shapes of the pieces are a little bit different. So the pieces for the SCS version are definitely designed to be more of a speed cube. So to connect the cube to your smartphone, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna scan the QR code that is on the side of the box here, and that'll take you to your respective app store to download the app. Once you've done that, you're gonna wanna log in. The login process was super simple. You just put in your email, it'll send you a code, and then you'll be able to log in using that. Once you've done that and made an account, to connect the cube, you'll just hit connect the cube, and you'll just turn the cube to make sure it's on, and pretty quickly it showed up here, so you're just gonna hit pair and connect. So the connection was successful, but as you can tell, the cube says it's scrambled when clearly it's solved. All you have to do is hit solve to sync, hit yes, and then both of them are synced up. They are now both solved. So I'm gonna unpair from this one and do the same thing with the SCA version. So again, just turn it to turn it on, and then you'll pair and connect. Connection was successful. And in this case, both cubes say they're solved, so there's not really anything to do from there. Now, before moving on, I do want to talk about the battery life of these cubes. They are supposed to last for a very long time. I don't know really roughly how long. It doesn't say in the instruction manual or anything like that, but it does go over how to replace the batteries and how to identify when the batteries are running low. But again, the batteries should last for a relatively long time. You can't recharge the cubes at all. You can't recharge the batteries, so when they do eventually die out, you will have to go out and buy new ones to replace them. But with that said, let's actually explore the app a little bit. So there are a couple of different settings here. We have times, which will just go over all the times you have. Your trophy list, you earn trophies by competing against other players. You have practice, which is essentially just timing your solves. And you have leaderboard, which tells you where you rank amongst other players for this week or this month, depending on which one you choose. And you also have guidance, which is supposed to allow you to just freely scramble the cube and it'll tell you how to solve it. So as you can see, there are a couple of other categories on here, like we have comp, which is you can do a room competition where you can set up your own room and compete against certain people. You have 1v1, which is straight head-to-head competition, and then just competition info. Pretty self-explanatory, just information. You also have Academy here, which goes over a couple of different things. You have layer by layer, you have CFOP, and you also have AI tutorial, which I'm not sure what that is. So cool, so it just takes you to a totally different web page. Do all of them do that? Yes. Yeah, okay. So these will just literally take you to a totally different web page. And we also have games, we have patterns, and stay tuned, which I'm assuming means stay tuned. So there will probably be more stuff in the future as we get more updates to the app and the cube. So I've gone ahead and connected the SCS version. And let's go ahead and do some of these 1v1s. Now I have already messed around with the 1v1 setting before, so I do have a couple of matches under my belt, and the actual pairing system seems to be pretty good. It does pair you with people who are relatively your speed. Every once in a while it does get it a little bit wrong, and it does take a little bit of time for it to kind of fully figure out where you're at and who it should be pairing you with. So let's go ahead and start a match here. So we've got a match here. Let's go ahead, scramble the cube up. All right. I have not done any solves today at all, so this might be really bad. All right, here we go. All right, there we go, an 8. Normally I'm more 9-10 seconds, so pretty good pairing. All right, so we got a pretty good solve last time. Let's see how we do this time. Yeah. Okay, this solve's gonna be really bad. Yeah, 10-12. Still pretty close on the timing. It's a little off, but really not all by that much. So that was the 1v1. If we go home, let's do the practice. Again, this is more of your just standard timing your solves. Remember to hold it, white top, green front, and then just follow the scrambles. And of course, it gives you your inspection time, and you don't need to tap anything. As soon as you start turning the cube, the timer starts. Not a very good scramble here, but we'll try our best. Wow, single flick D2s. That was really bad. There we go. 889. It also goes over your stats here. It goes over how many moves everything was, the percentage of the solve it was, and how efficient it was, and the TPS. You can also hit this more button here, and it'll go over a lot more. So you have your standard data that you saw on the previous screen. You can see a review, which just tells you exactly what you did, your TPS for each step, and then allocation, which goes over your inspection, adjustment, execution, and AUF for each individual step as well. So overall, both of these cubes perform really, really well, especially for having such a low price tag of $22.95. Of course, the speed version is going to perform a little bit better than the art version, but that is intended. Now, are they going to perform as well as something like the GAN 12 UI, which is over $100? No. However, these are great entry-level cubes, especially for getting more people into kind of the smart cube space. I think if you're looking for something with really good quality for a low cost, this is definitely the way to go. I feel more people who are getting a smart cube are probably going to be speed cubers who are working on improving their times and racing other people, so it just makes sense to go with the SCS version. And again, these cubes have great performance, they're low cost, they're great entry-level cubes, not only for beginner cubers, but even intermediate, advanced cubers who aren't willing to spend up to $60, $70, $100 on a smart cube. Overall, highly recommend both of these cubes and suggest that you pick one up over at SpeedCubeShop.com. And that is pretty much it for this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below if you'll be picking up one of these QIYI smart cubes and what the best smart cube is for each price point. Again, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.